episode 33. We just had our Shaq episode, so this is our Pippen episode, I guess.
I'm not a Pippen. I don't like Pippen.
Ewing? What do you want me to go with 33?
Ewing's fine, I guess. I'll deal with Ewing.
Well, give me a 33. Alonzo Mourning? I don't know. What do you want me to give you for a 33?
Nick Swisher. We'll go Nick Swisher.
Oh, God. Guy with less brains than baseball talent. Anyways, welcome to episode 33. Yeah, I called him out for not being intelligent. He's you want to talk if you look up the phrase bro in the dictionary, Nick Swisher's got a glossy 8x10 photo next to the word.
He will.
Episode 80. Wow. Episode 33 of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. Wow, my brain is not here right now. I'm Brian Cady. The loud, obnoxious voice you hear if you go to basketball sectionals for girls basketball the last few years. That is the Albany Academy girls varsity head coach, reigning two-time, not defending though, because you're not in Class A anymore, champions, Albany Academy girls, Brian Capitula. Cap, what's up? I noticed you're not wearing an 84 Feet shirt this time.
Nope.
You're going with the home brand for Academy. Well, the old home. You know what I mean?
Laundry. Gotta do laundry once in a while. Not a fan of that, but why is it so easy to do laundry but so hard to fold? I don't understand.
Or why is it so easy to do laundry but so hard to get motivated to do it?
Just motivated to fold it. I'd rather just spit it back into the dryer, let it spin again. And
oh yeah, the folding is definitely the pain in the ass. I agree with you. I agree with you. You don't have to be organized about putting it in either the washer or the dryer. It's stupid. It sucks. I know, especially like the formal clothes, like the dress shirts, or if you wash your dress pants at all. Like that's like shorts and t-shirts. Generally speaking, are pretty easy, but like sweaters, anything long sleeve.
And there's never room. Like you're always like, where did this stuff come from? Because now I don't have room to put it back anywhere. So,
well, I have an easy answer. It's my wife constantly buying shit. I don't know. Yeah, that's you don't have that problem right now. So, you just gotta worry about you and Nat, and that's really what closet space you gotta worry. Although I don't know. What about the lady friend?
No, I just yelled at her for having too much. She had a bag here. That was. No clutter. Everything.
So she hasn't claimed a drawer yet?
Minimal. There's minimal stuff here. I'm a minimalist.
Just in general, or with
everything. There's a couple pictures on the wall. It looks like you could move out tomorrow. It would take me 19 minutes.
It's a lot easier than I'm going to be able to say when we move out of this apartment in a month or two. There's closets everywhere. I'm not going to show you. Well, it's all my brother's stuff. I'm not going to show you what's around me right now. Let's just say he's a handyman. A lot of tools. That's all I'm going to say. Anyways, we are totally getting off topic here. But anyways, I got a pair of guests today. I know this is technically a Section 2 girls basketball show, but when a Section 2 athlete transfers and the head coach of said program that she transfers into is a part of the Gym Rat Challenge the last about decade, as long as John K-Mac isn't wrong with his timing. Who knows with him? Why the hell not, right? And plus the school is right near Army West Point, and let's just say I've been to a few of their football games. It's probably one of the most beautiful areas in New York State. So why not? So we take a trip down the thruway to Cornwall on Hudson, which sounds
fancy,
very, very posh, I'll put it, for the Storm King School. And joining us is the head coach of the Girls Prep League basketball team, Tian Tang, and a reclassified junior on the team, out of Boston Spa originally, now on the squad, junior Sophia Lee. Sophia, Tian, welcome to the show. How are you doing tonight? You can go ahead and unmute yourself, by the way.
Yeah, I'll go first. Long time coming. I know we've talked about this for a long time. So glad to be, finally be able to make it work for everyone here. So, but yeah, I'll give Sophia a couple minutes, couple seconds. Depends on how much she wants to say. But go ahead, Sophia.
She's from a big family, so I don't know how much she's gonna have to say right now. But there's only 4 of us, so it's okay.
I'm doing good. Excited to speak with all of you today.
So we'll come back to the big family thing with Sophia. But Tian, you mentioned we've been chatting for a while, and even going back to like the month or two prior to Gym Rat, this past summer, and we had been talking a little bit, and we eventually got K-Mac on the show. But all in all, just talk a little bit about your background as far as basketball specifically is concerned, like how you got interested in the game. If there was any other sports you were interested in originally when you were a kid, and why basketball became your main focus as you got older and then eventually got into coaching.
Yeah. So, originally grew up in China, right? So, actually the first sport I've ever played was soccer. But in China back at least, back when I was growing up, it was very hard at a certain point to get, the school doesn't really sponsor that many soccer teams. Back then there were no club teams or anything like that. So, basketball, it was just a much more accessible sport to play, and there's more teams to play on, but also I just became, I guess more of a fan for basketball because of Kobe Bryant. So basketball basically became my only sport after middle school. Came to the States when I was a junior in high school. Went to a prep school up in Maine, Maine Central Institute, and I played Division III basketball in New York at Manhattanville College down in Westchester. So I've been coaching, I want to say, for the last 9 years, mostly as assistant coaches, and for assistant coaching position in at the local Division III and Division II level. But been a Storm King this is my second year, and obviously with a little connection, in Section 2. I want to say when was my first year working for Gym Rat? I want to say it's 2018 or 2019. So it's been 5 or 6 years. Spent a lot of time up in Albany, and obviously meeting a lot of connections and friends up there as well. So.
Cap, you muted yourself. Cap, stop. Cap, stop.
My washer dryer was going off. Sorry.
That's a lie.
Not washer dryer, whatever that's called, the dishwasher. I didn't want to make it too loud. So this question for in terms of obviously I know who you are. Brian knows who you are. Being at Boston Spa, I think I don't know if you were you were in the Suburban Council in a really big league, but sometimes I don't think Boston Spa got some of the respect. You were starting to make that respect happen, and it's happened a little bit before you with Liv Verdile that was there. But kind of what was your background in terms of basketball wise? What got you really interested in that? When did that kind of start where you thought, what, I think I'm going to try to become a college athlete at basketball at some point?
Well, I started basketball in 3rd grade, but I just did it as a sport. I never knew I would be at the level I'm at now. I think after COVID, that's when I realized I actually love this sport a lot, and I want to take it more seriously. And it started with Boston Spa, right? I was on the JV team, and it was all right. And then moving up to varsity, I was there's actually good competition I can actually play against. And that's when that clicked to me that I can actually improve so much better and actually get to a college level, not thinking years prior that I wouldn't be able to get to that level. I guess, Boston Spa, Suburban Council is a tough league or council. But Boston Spa it wasn't where I wanted it to be for my overall athletic career. So that's why I transferred over.
Now, Sophia, you just mentioned something that actually I do want to ask both of you because, but different experiences for both of you in this regard. And that's during the time of COVID, Sophia, I know, players, for example, the season ended basically right after sectionals in 2020. And then as schools attempted at least to have seasons for the 20 to 21 season. There were mandates about like capped crowd sizes, wearing masks while you're on the court and in play. And coach, obviously, you were coaching by then at the college level. So we'll start with Sophia here. Just a little bit about the difficulties of going through that, through COVID, and just your overall feelings about how that all played out, because you were still up in Section 2 during that time. So just your thoughts on that, and then we'll get to Tian with his thoughts about how it was dealing with it as a coach on the college level.
Well, during COVID, like I wasn't allowed to be near like anybody. So like I didn't go to school when they had that option. So I was like on my own trying to find ways to like get better at basketball. And then when it started slowly opening up, like when we had to wear masks and stuff, that's when I started like playing with the team. But it just wasn't like normal basketball because I was still trying to like isolate myself. But that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should start taking the sport seriously and see where it could eventually take me. So I guess COVID helped me to get to where I am now because it made me like just think about where I can go and how much I can improve on.
And then, Coach, your thoughts on just the way, because I'm not exactly sure the policies that would have been in place with the school you were coaching at the time, but because I know like some conferences were able to put together at least patchwork schedules at the time. Others would attempt to put schedules together, but then, certain team members might get COVID at the same time, and that would end up canceling games. What was that process like for you as a coach on the college level, trying to, make things work out as far as trying to navigate the pandemic and trying to coach these kids at the same time?
Yeah. Well, now to think about it, felt like forever ago, but so the 2019 to 2020 season, I was coaching, was assistant coach at the St. Thomas Aquinas College men's team under the current Iona head coach, Toby Anderson. And I just remember we're having a really good year, right? I think towards the end, we won our conference. And that's actually at that point, we went to the conference tournament. COVID is started to, we picked up cases in Westchester and things like that. So you're kind of having start to have a feeling that something might be happening. But we won. We won the conference. I think we were at that point number 21 according to certain one of the polls in the country. We're ranked number 2 in the East region. And then, the conference tournament, the East regional tournament bracket came out, and we're about to play that weekend. And like every day at that point, it's like you start to hear different news, right? So, but really, I think at some point it's like, okay, we're going to still play the tournament, but we're going to do it without fans. And maybe there's, family that can come. And every day there's some new development. And then I remember, I can't remember which state it was, but when the NBA decided to cancel the season, that's when we go, okay, yeah, this will probably it. So, and honestly, for me, it kind of just probably for everyone, but just for me specifically from a career standpoint, it hit sort of a reset button, right? So, I was able to obviously do a lot of thinking, but that was actually the first year I really thought about. So, before that, a few different assistant jobs at different schools, but that was the first year I was able to. I actually had during the lockdown, a head coaching interview for the first time at the college level for a local junior college, and I didn't end up getting the job, but I actually came up pretty close, and that kind of opened up I guess I really wasn't thinking about being a head coach before that, because you're always thinking at that point I was 2020, so 27 years old, 27-year-old, right? So at that point, you probably always thinking, maybe my resume, maybe I don't have enough experience and things like that. But once I realized, okay, it is actually a possibility, So I actually started interviewing for a lot more head coaching jobs, including at the high school level and the college level. So actually right now looking back, it was actually quite beneficial for me, just in terms of sort of having time and space to kind of reflect what I've done so far and where I want to go in the future with basketball. So then obviously now my second year as a head coach at Storm King, playing in Knapsack. It's a great league, both from a talent standpoint and a coaching standpoint. I think we have a fantastic group of players this year. So yeah, very grateful. I'm sure that obviously we will love, for the pandemic not to happen, right? But just from personally speaking, it turned out to be a very beneficial period for me, just career-wise. So
for sure, it definitely slowed everything down. Like for a little while, where everything's go go go, it slowed stuff down. You could kind of make decisions, which I think was great for some. Now, so just to kind of go back to leaving Boston Spa and things like that. So at what point, I know that, and I know kind of your story a little bit, because me and Coach try to like communicate a little bit here and there. We're pretty active and talk to each other. But at what point are you thinking like it's an option to maybe go somewhere else? Like, or how does that pop up in your head? And like, how does that process kind of happen for you?
Like switching schools? Is he talking
Yeah,
about?
like switching schools, like, and even finding Storm King and kind of what that whole experience was like, going to Storm King, going on that visit, and kind of like realizing like what Storm King even is.
Okay. So it happened over the summer, right? I never would have seen myself, I guess, at like a private school or like a boarding school. Like I've just never heard of that, like never thought of that experience that would happen for me. And then Coach reached out to me, or to Flutie, and was like, do you think Sophia would be interested in coming here? And I was just like, I thought, I was like, oh, haha, like, why would I go to a private school? And then that made me think of like, actually, if I go to this school, just where I can go basketball wise and academically. That like academically was also a big factor into coming here. Just because I can just improve my grades a lot more, and I'm trying to get to a high academic schools. And just like overall, just the overall competition here compared to like Boston Spa, like the practices, just I've noticed like our open gyms, just like everyone here wants to compete and everybody wants to get better. Compared to like Boston Spa, it was just like, oh, we're here to play, and like I wasn't getting the improvement that I needed.
Sure.
So coming here, I was just like, oh, I can improve so much more just being around such talented players. Coming on the visit, I was just like, oh, this is totally a different like world. Like I've never been on a campus where it's like a high school that's where you can go like sleep there, right? And I show up and I was like, oh, Dad, this is kind of like weird. Like this is interesting. And then on our drive back, I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Like being away from home this early, and just being here for like basketball in school. And I was just like, maybe this isn't the right choice for me. Maybe I need to stay at Boston Spa and just hope for the best. But then we started talking and we're like, actually, maybe I should give it a try. So we come back. I come to an open lift in the summer just to meet some of the players. And then I was just like, actually, I do want to come here. And I was just always like going back and forth. And obviously I was going to graduate this year at Boston Spa. But then I was just like, but this is such a cool experience that I didn't want to give up.
Yep.
That now I'm here. And I actually do love it here. And the campus is nice. The faculty are really nice. And just being around such talented players, it's a cool experience to be around.
Now, Coach, you mentioned how you had that first head coaching interview during the COVID pandemic, and eventually you did serve in an interim role as the head coach for CCNY during their women's basketball season for 2021-2022. Two questions to come out of that. Number one, were you self-aware about the fact that was going to make you the first Chinese native basketball head coach in the history of the NCAA? I'm gonna guess no, but I'm just throwing it out there. Like if that ever been brought up before you found out that was the case. And then the second thing being did that experience help you solidify the stance you ultimately had a year or two later when you did choose to go to Storm King? That helped solidify you in the idea of getting out of the college ranks and going to the high school level and joining Storm King?
Yeah. So, for the first question, didn't know about it before him, right? So obviously at that point I was kind of, having just basically I was really wanted to be a head coach, so like any job that I thought I had a chance of getting the gig, like I was literally, I can't remember how many head coaching interviews I had. That might have been the 8th or 9th or even 10th interview that I've had, where I'm talking about anywhere from Division III college jobs to the local high school job, in public school to private school jobs. So no, like going in, I just wanted to be a head coach. However, afterwards, which is, is a kind of funny thing. So obviously, my parents are still in China. And so my dad used to a while ago work in the media world, and he was just talking to one of his friends, and they're chatting about, obviously I recently got the head coaching job, and his friend who still works at the local TV station was like, this could be like, he could be the first person from China who went to the States and became a head coach. And then he looked into it and couldn't find anyone else. So it turned into I'm from the city called Shenzhen, China, which is I think the 3rd largest city in China. But so it turned into a local report, right? So I've done a remote interview with them, and it actually kind of caught traction from there. And the largest TV station in China, CCTV, which is the national TV station, they picked up on the news. So yeah, it actually turned into kind of not to say it's a national news per se, but I was appear on a national TV interview because of that. So yeah, that was really more so like afterwards, and they're like, oh wow, like that's kind of cool, right? But overall, I think that 1 year at CCNY, you ended up learning anyways, right? So I think no matter what kind of experience you've had, now obviously I've only stayed there for 1 year, for a reason, but like ultimately I think it also taught me like, okay, being a head coach is not everything, right? It's like, okay, I finally got this out of the way. I've been a head coach. I have nothing else to prove from that standpoint, but it's also like, what are the priorities here? Like what makes a good situation and from compared to a not so good situation, right? So I think that taught me a lot, really, from a career standpoint, in terms of the things maybe before. I think everybody early on think what makes a good job is a facility, or it's the name brand or whatever, right? And then really put a lot more focus for me personally to prioritize people, the people that you work for and you work with, which now that's eventually led me to this, right? Like even when I went on the interview here, some of the faculties that I was able to talk to, and our admission director, who I felt a very good connection with. So I think that really that stop made me learn a lot in terms of what to value and what actually matter into making a place a good situation, and what actually matter into winning. So yeah, I know it's a long-winded answer, but yeah.
Cap, you're muted again.
My bad. This damn washer's got to go off. So this can be a coach for Sophia and coach, but in terms of like recruiting stuff, I know obviously being in the NEPSAC, playing against really good teams, playing AA and AAA teams that are in NEPSAC, so you're playing against other really good players. How much do you feel like the NEPSAC itself is recruited in terms of where you are versus like just kind of like a local high school, or if you're kind of more like a regional high school in the middle of nowhere? What kind of what kind of advantage do you feel like the NEPSAC might have over some other schools? Either one.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I feel like the NEPSAC, like just the recruiting is like not like easier, but it just like you can get so much more exposure, right? So for these open gyms that we've had, like coaches are coming in and watching us play and everything. But like at Ballston Spa, the public school, we've never had coaches come in and watch our practices or watch our open gyms, which I feel like this just boosts like your overall recruiting process being with like a NEPSAC team. And just like I feel like you can create a lot more connections with coaches just throughout other coaches and like other teams you're playing. Yeah.
I just think I'm probably spoiled in the like because I never coached at the only high school level at the that I've worked at is at NAPSAC, which is like right away I think you almost like assume that's kind of how high school basketball is, right? And then we obviously when we go on recruiting for us, like we go to watch a lot of the local high school games and things like that, and you're just like, wow, it's such a different world, right? Like from a competition standpoint, from a talent standpoint, to all the way up to like like in NAPSAC, there are many schools with former college coaches who are running the program. So I think it just overall it's such a different thing unless you experience it yourself, that you can see, okay, you're talking about a different level of everything here. Like even like the first time last year when we went to our first overnight tournament, the Nickerson Holiday Showcase at Nobles. Even like like I've been in college before, but even it was the first time I was like sitting at a high school showcase, a prep school showcase, if you will, and you're looking around just the stands that are filled with. I'm talking about anywhere from high academic D3s to the power conference staff, and that was the first time I was like, wow, that this is a different level here, compared to a lot of the either local public school or other Catholic school or whatever the other high school leagues around here. It's just a completely different beast, if you will.
Sophia, wanted to tap into the AAU a little bit because been a part of the Vibes program. At least you were this past spring into the summer, and you were surrounded by Sage women's basketball assistant coach Eric Flutie, friend of the program, and one of my former fellow Siena College friends, Tay Fisher. What's it about that program that you chose to be a part of it, and how did you feel things were for you over the course of that AAU season as far as prepping yourself to get the Storm King?
So how I got to Vibes is I started with Coach Flutie with Athena's, right? And then there was that switch to Athena's to Vibes, right? Just like the overall AAU to get to this school, I wouldn't be here at this school if it wasn't for AAU, I'm pretty sure, because that's where Coach found me, right? He found me at the Gym Rat. And if I didn't show up to that Gym Rat, then I wouldn't be at this school and have this experience, right? I guess the reason I chose to be with Vibes was with Coach Flutie because his IQ for the game is just like, it's so good, right? And he will help me like get to where I want to go, but I just have to be able to communicate with him, right? And just tell him what I want to do in the future. And he's helped me a lot throughout that process.
And then from the standpoint of, I guess, where coaches, AAU and in grassroots basketball and everything, it's grown kind of substantially to the point where, like, if you're not really playing it, it's really hard to be seen. Just because a lot of coaches aren't recruiting high schools at this point, unless they've seen you somewhere else. You still get the Division III and local schools that might come to games, but how much do you feel like AAU has evolved or disevolved in the last just even 5 years? Do you think it's been good for the kids overall, or like what is your overall feel right now of like what AAU basketball has become?
I mean, I can only speak from my short experience of coaching for the last 8-9 years, right? So,
yep.
Obviously, I grew up, somewhere differently under a different system and things like that. But obviously, we can always say, like, from a developmental standpoint, it's not the best system, right? I think most basketball people will agree that the international Europe kind of, academy system provide a lot more development at a younger age, just in terms of keeping the same group of kids together longer and having more practices than games. But you also got to think, like, they don't have a school system, right? Like they don't have school basketball like the US. Right. So it's a more complicated, I think, issue. But I would say you are seeing really a shift, like you like I said before, it's like really it's becoming very rare for coaches to recruit directly from high school, right? Especially in the public school. Unless, if you're a powerhouse, really, like on the boys side in Section 1, you talk about Mount Vernon and places like that. They're kind of exception to the rule in a sense. So it's almost like for the kids who are going to a regular public school, AAU becomes a necessity, right? Like if they don't play AAU, they're basically not getting seen. So I do think, again, like I think I'm spoiled in a sense that I coach at a level where, like we'll get, this year 10 colleges to come to our open gym, right? Before the year, like we'll be able to go almost every game we play, not just the tournament game we play. Almost every game we play, we can get one or two, college coaches in the stands. Depends on who we play and where we go and things like that. So, I mean, again, I think for the most part, it's like from a pure basketball standpoint, do you want to see kids play, I don't know, four or 6 games in the span of 48 hours? And you say, well, there's no way that's healthy, right? Like, I mean, I can play one game now and have a hard time recovering the next 2 to 3 days. Right. And I'm like, that's. But at the same time, it's like I understand why it's happening, and it's one of those things where you can't just not do it, right? But I do think with us, because we have some younger players here, and I was talking to one of them the other day, and she's only a sophomore, so she's like, "Do I really need to play AU this year?" I was kind of like, "Not really for you." I'm like, number one, you're at the age where even if you play AU right now, I'm not sure how, because you're most likely a high academic D3 or D2 kid. Yeah. I'm not sure how many looks you're going to pick up as a sophomore, but if you really don't have anywhere you like next year, you can play AU. But I also told her that, if by the spring next year, as a junior, a junior going into your senior year, you already have the schools that you want. I mean, I wouldn't say you have to do it. Sure. I think it's more so about if you want to expand, it certainly provide more exposure. So you got to kind of understand the value of that as well. So, yeah.
Sophia, this was brought to my attention before we started recording, and I teased it a little bit earlier. I have to bring it up now. 1 of 10 kids, as somebody that is the oldest of 5. Wow, I missed one. Oldest of 5. That sounds psychotic to me. But obviously you didn't have a choice in the matter. But as one of the quasi middle-ish of 10, how crazy was growing up in a household with that many kids running around, and Uh, in a way, do you think maybe it helped you kind of maybe uh, mature a little bit faster in a way? Because not only did you have, your older siblings, but you had your younger ones that it's kind of like, you know, the older ones are kind of putting their thumb down, but then you have the younger ones that, maybe in a way you kind of felt like you had to kind of set an example in a way, possibly. What was growing up in that household like for you, and how does it continue to, evolve now that you're away? I'm sure the younger ones are missing you right now.
I mean, I say I hate it, but I'm actually so grateful to have that many siblings, right? It is crazy at sometimes, but just like being around like older people, obviously, like my sisters who are in college, right? But then you have the little one who's like in pre-K, right? And it's just like helps me overall become a better person. Like I have my older siblings, like obviously putting pressure on me, just like, oh, well, you got to be a good person, like you got to keep your grades up, whatever. But then it just like then it bleeds into me to go to the younger kids, like, well, this is an example I need to set for you guys, right? So being in the middle, it just shows like where, like, just how to be such, like, I don't know how to word it. Just like be a good person, right? Because setting the example for the younger kids, but then trying to exceed the older siblings' expectations. It's hard, but it does help a lot, just overall maturity wise. But I love them all. And I mean, there obviously is a favorite, but I can't say who it is.
Do you feel there's just a quick follow up? What you mentioned expectations. Who do you feel like, because you have so many older siblings? Do you feel like there's harder expectations from them because they've relived experiences you might not have had yet, so they're kind of almost in a way maybe passing wisdom down, so to speak? Or do you feel like there's more pressure coming from your father and your parents?
No, I think it's coming, like, it's not like pressure wise, but like they're just giving me like quote unquote tips of how to like become such a good person, right? Because they've obviously lived through my age, and then they're just giving me like life lessons that I should know, and that will just make life easier. And just, yeah.
Now, Coach, you have obviously like the roster that you have every year. It's like a college roster, right? Like you're bringing in kids that you're recruiting every year for the most part, unless you have someone kind of that shows up on your doorstep. How is it like every year you're kind of going to have a new group of kids and kind of a new roster? You're going to have 2 or 3 new kids every year. What is it like in kind of incorporating and getting those kids to buy in? Do you have a system that you use, or is it just something that you try to instill in your players that are already there to kind of welcome the new kids? Or is there something that you've seen that's been really effective, just kind of incorporating those groups, the kind of to feel welcome right away?
Yeah, for sure. I think, number one, well, my first year was actually really tricky. So last year was a really tricky situation. I didn't really have much of a returning roster. So I remember taking the job, and it's like in the summer, it's like, okay, you have 4 girls and one of them with a torn ACL. So I'm like, okay. So it's like last minute recruiting, right? Like brought in 5 basically within the month, within the span of a month and a half, if you will. So first year was a lot about more, just changing the way we do things and trying to at least have the framework of what we want to do right? Like we're going to be a motion team. We're not going to run a ton of set plays. We're going to play with spacing and some of the principles that we know year to year that will carry over. So first year was all doing that. Now, also very fortunate first year inheriting two college players, and one of them is starting as a freshman at Yale right now. So that was a huge help, and that was just pure luck, if you will. And the other one is probably going to be a starter at at Division III Johnson and Wales. So now, like this year, I do think one of his recruiting, you're always trying to improve the roster. However, having some level of continuity, right? So like first year, in my recruiting, I didn't try to go after the post grad or the older players. Like we brought in, very fortunately, quite a few 2026 So now this is their second year, right? So now we have someone here that kind of knew, even though we're not playing exactly the same way we're playing last year, but a lot of the common themes, right? Especially in terms of how we do things. So it is about, I think being smart recruiting wise, looking for the right people. And ultimately we can talk about culture all we want. You want to enforce the good things, but only good people do the right things. So you want to bring in the right kids. The other, it's being a little bit more strategic in terms of staggering your recruiting classes. So right now, because we have so many 2026s, just in terms of how the recruiting shook out this year, we're going to looking at more next year with a focus of bringing in 27s or 28s. So it's definitely a longer process, right? Like instead of trying to go after 1 year player who's only looking for post grad year or something like that. Not to say we're turning them away, but that's kind of not our focus. But I also think this is just like playing a style you want to play a style that's kind of easier for kids to learn, right? So, I was talking to someone, it's like, if you implement a full Princeton or full triangle, that kind of traditional offense, it takes years. Like that's back when Pete Carroll have the same team for 4 years.
Sure.
Like they might get to third and fourth year and now they're understanding the actual read. So I do think right now you want to play even at the college level, right? There's a lot more turnovers. So on year to year. So I think you want to play a style that's unique to you, but also like if you do end up with a brand new roster, which we kind of did this year, we returned 5 players and brought in 7. So we have more new players this year than returners. So it's still got to be a style that you can teach them within a few months, and they can get better obviously throughout the year. So.
This question actually for Sophia, and we're gonna kind of rewind a little bit, bring you back to Boston Spa for a hot second here. The squad you have moved on from now has current seniors Kaylee Richards and Jessica Bowens, rising junior Aubrey Kramer. Talk a little bit about the squad that remains in Boston Spa and how you feel like they stack up a little bit. But I know Jessica and Aubrey and Kaylee, they've all been to showcase events over the last month or two, trying to gain some exposure, especially Jessica and Kaylee, since they are seniors after all. So how do you feel about the team that's still there, and how much do you keep in touch with those girls at this point?
I feel like the team, like they're going to be good, right? You have Carson, who I think is going to be their now starting point guard. AK or Aubrey Kramer, she can shoot. She can shoot the ball. That's going to help them a lot. Jess in the post, if you like let off on her, like she can score on you, right? And then you have Callie. Callie dribble, drive, pass, shot, right? They're going to be pretty good. I do stay in connection with them. I text a lot of them like every day just to be like, oh, what are you guys doing today? Or how was practice or whatever. I'll miss that team a lot. But yeah.
And then for coach here, mentioned earlier how you've been with the Gym Rat organization for like 5 or 6 years now. And this past spring, you actually got asked to step up a little bit and take over for good friend Steve Amidio as the supervisor for the evaluator staff. Just how do you feel like you have a greater appreciation for just recruiting overall after being in an atmosphere like that, working behind the scenes as far as getting all the coaches together and the evaluators, and then getting all the footage to match up with the notes, and it sounds and feels like a lot when you're on the outside, and even if you're just a parent or even a player, it's like, geez, you gotta comb through all this stuff for how many kids are there, because Gym Rat's no small tournament. It's not like it's like a dozen teams. This is a tournament that brings in, gosh, off the top of my head, I'd say at least a couple hundred when you combine the girls and boys side. So, just talk a little bit about that process and what that's like behind the scenes.
Yeah, I mean, so initially, I was obviously just doing the job as an evaluator, right? So that was fairly simple, for me. Like you watched as an assistant coach, right? Like you go there, you watch the 8 to 12 team you were assigned to watch, and you can do that pretty easily, and then you can go recruit, go watch other games. So, and I guess I did a good job, like where Steve asked me, I guess last year, he was like, if I were to retire, because he's been thinking about that, would you be interested in stepping up? I was like, sure. But I guess you don't realize until you actually do the job that Steve did for, I don't know, 10 years. Like how much work really goes into it, right? It's more so about the organized, because you're number one, you're in charge of, it's a big tournament of multiple different venues. And there are always some logistical issue where maybe with certain evaluator that happened. Now you kind of have to handle that. Meanwhile, you still need to watch the championship games. And then I guess the biggest difference for me was before, once you finish the tournament, you hand in a report or you type it in and send it to Steve, it's over. Now it's like, for me, my work just started. It's about putting everything together now. So certainly, a lot more work. But yeah, like I think, like you said, you're gaining a new appreciation just because you're standing from this different perspective now. So
yeah. So it's crazy, like, because you mentioned multiple sites. Because I'm trying to think off the top of my head. You guys use Union, you use RPI. I want to say you use one gym at Sage, maybe. It's berserk. I wouldn't want to touch it. So like the work that guys like you and K-Mac do, salute. I wouldn't want any part of it. Anyways, the way we usually wrap up these interviews is I have a set of questions called Life's Most Important Questions, although I promise you they are not life's most important questions. Just quick hitting, first answer that comes to mind. For all the questions, I guess we'll start with Sophia, ladies first, and then we'll have Coach answer the question, then we'll move on to the next one. There's like 5 or 6 questions. Are the guests ready?
go ahead. Yeah, Sophia, go first.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. First question. Now that I actually can scroll them up, there we go. First question. When it comes to desserts, chocolate or vanilla? Or if you're not a dessert person, just say you're not a dessert person.
Chocolate.
Yeah, chocolate. That's an easy one.
I think it's kind of psycho if anyone says vanilla, because I kind of question your taste buds at that point. But anyways, best flavor of Starburst.
The pink ones.
I don't think I've ever had them before.
No.
Yeah, I'm not a big candy.
All right, so we're gonna have to go get some Starburst later.
That is your homework assignment for Coach.
Yeah.
Why is pink so popular? I guess I'm stuck on figuring out why pink seems to be, I don't know, probably 80 to 90% of the answers that we get.
Yep.
Is it really that good, or am I just like?
I mean, they make a whole pack just by itself, so somebody's been marketed the right way, if nothing else.
Then I must be the psycho because I don't like it compared to the orange ones personally. But I don't know. I guess I'm a psycho.
The orange ones are gross.
All right, so yeah,
just gotta say.
one vote for Brian being a psycho. Thank you, Sophia. All right. Speaking of flavors, let's move on to, well, not flavors. I guess they're colors. Gatorade, Powerade, or neither. And if you don't like either, what kind of energy, athletic performance enhancement drink do you like?
I don't know. I'm not a fan of Gatorade or Powerade. I guess like
More like a body armor person.
I don't really drink them that much. Do you know? Oh, I guess Is Gatorade like Propel? Like I like those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Gatorade. The
All
makers of Gatorade make Propel. Propel's not
All right.
bad. I like it.
I like that, but like the other ones, they're just like too like. sweet.
Propel is basically the water version of Gatorade because it still has electrolytes.
Right.
But it doesn't have all the artificial flavoring. I mean, well,
Right.
no, it doesn't have. Never mind. If you don't know what Propel is, go look up Propel. Coach Tian, what do you prefer?
Gatorade over Powerade for sure. I think I do like body armor more. In terms of flavor, I guess either the lemon, like the yellow or the orange one. But like nowadays, I usually go for the what is that? The low calorie version of it, like the Gatorade Zero. So that's what I go for. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Body armor, they kind of have like more. I guess the best way to put it would be more unique flavor combinations, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they have like banana with I don't know, it's usually a combo flavor. It's like usually a combo flavor, but
They had a Mamba one that was grape something. I don't know where that came from, but
yeah. So Kobe invested in the company, so I have to support.
Naturally. This one created a mild controversy last episode, so I want to see what happens here. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
No.
we did have somebody say yes. I'm trying to remember. Oh gosh,
it was whoever was on the right side of the screen.
I can't remember who said.
Was it
Cass? I think it was Addison who said
it was.
Yes.
It was.
And then Coach Chapko, Stillwater, by the way. I think Coach was like, no. I don't know. I gotta. Addison's an interesting person, so we'll figure that one out. All right, last one. This one might be require a little bit of thought into it, so don't necessarily rush this one. If you were stuck on a deserted island and can only have two people help you to get off that deserted island, who are you picking and why? Now, Sophia thankfully has a lot of siblings to pick from if she wants to pick any of them, so she's got the pick of the bunch out of the two of you. So.
Okay, well, one of them it has to be like my best friend from Boston Spa now, and then just be like she might not like get us off the island, but she'll keep us entertained, right? So we gotta have entertainment, right? And then I think I'd have to pick I'd pick my dad because he would get us off somehow. He'd be the smart one.
What's the objective? To get off, or to I guess to get off.
The object is to get off the island.
Okay. So definitely need an engineer. So, do I know any engineers in my life? Not really. Anyone who's a good engineer, right? I'm a utilitarian. I don't need you to entertain me. We need to get out of here, right? So that one for sure. The other one's got to be able to like fend off animals. So
listen, I've seen your videos, Coach. Coach is an amateur soccer goalie, an amateur guitar artist, an amateur MMA fighter. We have like we could go an hour. We could literally go an hour just Coach. You see him as coach in background. At some point, we'll have him back, and we won't even talk about basketball at all.
Well, amateur MMA. That's the one that caught me off guard. I didn't see that one coming. Really?
Yeah, I've been training for a while. I mean, I haven't really fought a real fight, but it is a discussion that I always have with myself. But anyway, so stay. I want to say maybe like some Army SEAL, like a Navy SEAL, special force kind. Like I need protection, and I'm not sure how good I am with dealing with animals and them talking about the big ones that could potentially harm us. So I'm thinking from a very utilitarian standpoint. Like I need someone who was good with technology, who can make things that can help us get off, and someone else that can help us stay alive before we get off. So
do you know anyone who could fill either role at this point?
No, you better make friends.
Yeah, at this point, you got to make some friends. Like you're just naming what you want.
Sounds like you need an engineer and an Army Ranger down the street that you need to go.
Yeah, like
Makes
Gonna
Yeah,
go pick them off from the
I
side of
mean,
the road.
I could loan my brother as one of your answers because he is a handyman and ex-army. So
yeah, or or so Sophia's dad, right? The engineer, right?
Right.
Your dad's an engineer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's an
maybe
engineer.
I'll pick up Elton Lee. So
so Sophia's dad is on loan. All right, got it. All right. Well done, well done. Good job. As long as you said a hot dog's not a sandwich, I applaud the efforts here. So, Sophia Lee Jr. at the Storm King School. Tian Tang, the head coach for the squad down there. Thank you both very much for coming on the show. Definitely appreciate your time. And I'm sure we'll be in touch, especially Tian, if we get towards gym rat time and you need somebody. I purposely kept the girls' weekend in June clear this time. So if you are in desperate need, you know my number. So we're good to go on that.
oh, absolutely, we definitely need help. So
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach, and Sophia. Thank you, and good luck to both of you with the upcoming season. All right.
thanks so much. Thanks for
Thanks,
having us.
guys.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
Not a problem. Sophia Lee, Tian Tang from the Storm King School downstate, right outside of West Point in I think what was it, Cornwall on Hudson? I said.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Good having them on. Anytime you can get somebody on that gives you a little bit of a different viewpoint, different just a different experience to look at aside from what we get normally out of Section 2. It's pretty cool. Good to see Sophia's doing well in her transition down there from Boston to Spa, and things are going well so far.
Yeah, and Sophia's is just sneaky good. She obviously played B Canny this summer with us in August. She's just sneaky athletic. Her athleticism and everything is just. I don't really think anyone matches it around here really right now. Like when she really wants to go after the ball or catch up to somebody, like she athleticism wise is off the charts. So I'm happy that she's doing well. We kind of keep in contact with Coach, just trying to check in and see how everyone's doing. And she's a kid to watch, like whether she's a high academic, Division III, Division II, if she sneaks in the Division I level, I don't really think it matters. She's going to impact kind of whatever team she ends up on.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely going to be very interesting to keep an eye on her. Another thing I don't know how I missed this in my prep. They play the Hoosick School.
They do early on in the year. I think we play the same day because I know I had talked to them like, hey, you got to come to this. I think we have a game the same day. They play Hoosac, but they play Hoosac in a non-league game.
Yep. Yeah. So if you want to find out more about them, by the way, sks.org. That's the site for the Storm King School. If you want to look into their athletics programs, the basketball team in particular, or if you just maybe have a kid that might be interested in going to a college prep school like that. I don't know. I'm just saying. By the way, Gym Rat, because the dates I think were just announced literally the last 48 hours, I want to say. So the Gym Rat, so there are two different things. There's Gym Rat Live and there's the Gym Rat Challenge.
Yep.
Gym Rat Live for the girls' side is Mother's Day weekend, May 10th and 11th.
Yep.
And then the Gym Rat Challenge, which is the actual AAU tournament, that'll be the third weekend. So I'm assuming that's Father's Day weekend. Well, Father's Day weekend might be the 15th this
The weekend before, I think. Yeah, talking to K-Mac about it, they had to move it because last year with the Belmont being here for the couple years being here, that they were the 7th, 8th, they were Belmont weekend. The hotels at one point last year were like
psychotic.
So he was like, just get off that weekend. And so that's why I think this will be the first time in a long time they're that third weekend of June, but I think it'll be just as good.
Yeah, so first Saturday in May would be the 3rd. So that would be Kentucky Derby. Yes, I'm a horse racing fan. That's why I have this in my head. So Kentucky Derby will be May 3rd, which would mean the 30th. So June 7th would be.
Yep, which is usually that's the weekend of the Belmont. So that's instead of kind of having that conflict again, that he just got off that weekend.
Yeah, and then Father's Day weekend would be the 5th. The 15th would be Father's Day. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's really the 4th week. Well, Yeah, okay. We'll say it's the fourth weekend of June. Just weird how that works out with the first being a Sunday.
Yeah, right.
Those months always throw me off when the first day is a Sunday. It's just very odd. Yeah. I think that's all we have. I don't think we have anything of note to really discuss. No,
No, just watching all these Section 2 kids. College basketball has obviously started for a lot of the girls. I think we've had everybody pretty much have a game. I think there's some more games tonight, but we've had just watching those games at the Division I level. We've probably had 10 or 12 girls already play a game.
That reminds me. By the time this comes out, because we're recording on November 7th, Thursday evening, but it's not coming out until, let me think here, the week before Thanksgiving, so the 22nd. Because we have episode 31, 32 obviously already done at this point. By now, if you're interested, go to the YouTube page and by all means, like and subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave comments if you like. Turn on the notification bell if you want to know every time an episode is uploaded. But also, aside from watching all the normal episodes of this podcast, you can also check in on all the stuff from last month at EST Fall Showcase at Impact Athletic Center. And by now, we should also have, along with Terry Prim, the head coach of Siena, we should have an interview up there with Baby and Anisha Jackson, the grad student on the Siena women's team from Albany High. And I'll let this be a surprise if it's actually there or not. I'm still working on these logistics. Still working on the 4 Section 2 girls on U Albany. Sounds like I'm gonna tease and say it's there. If it's not, then completely ignore this tease at the end of the show.
What are you doing? Goddamn compliance. Who does the follow rules?
It's well, Siena was the one that had to deal with the compliance department. In Albany, it's more just trying to get 4 girls all at the same time with the same schedule, and it's a little chaotic. Not easy at all. But the 4 girls would be Lily Phillips, Bella Stewart, Megan Herter, and Abby Ray. So
big game tomorrow. If big game 2 weeks ago at this point, but you got Rhode Island versus U Albany, so you got the 2 Phillips sisters up against each other tomorrow. Yeah,
which I wonder if Dad's gonna wear like a half U Albany, half Rhode Island T-shirt.
I'm sure, or just wear underneath. He'll have to do. Our mom will wear one, Dad will wear one, Grandpa will wear one.
Or you wear one girl's jersey during the first half, then switch the other girl's jersey for the second half.
I don't know what you do. You just sit there and watch, and you're amazed that both your kids are playing.
Didn't Sophie get named preseason all-conference, by the way?
I think so.
For the A-10?
I think so.
I think she did.
She broke the 3-point record last year. There's no reason not to.
By the way, you know her a little better than I do at this point. I know the younger twin sisters better than I know her. Bella's just a personality and a half, isn't she? Because everywhere I look at, every time I see U Albany women's basketball pop up on Twitter for me or Facebook, 80% of the time, Bella's face or voice is somewhere involved with it. She's a personality and a half, man. That's
she's
funny.
She went through a huge rehab. I remember seeing her Impact working out with Tom Smalls that was doing the training and stuff with her, and she was going through that whole rehab of her ACL and all like that. So to fight back like that, it's not an easy process. So, and she's kept her spirits really high, it seems like. So
wouldn't be able to tell from the stuff that's been on U Albany women's basketball social media. No. she's I think honestly, I think in the end, it's just clear that there's certain girls that just, even if it's just for a grad year, there's something about coming home.
Yep.
That's just refreshing. Whether it's her, whether it's Megan. I know there's other girls in the past who have come, like Grace Heaps when she transferred from Canisius. No, wait. UMass to Albany, and then she went to Canisius for her grad year. That's right.
Yep.
There's something about coming home, man. I don't know. There's just something about this area, man. It's cool. I mean, just ask all the coaches from like the Flips, all the the Megans from Fondant, from Johnstown. we talked about with them. There's just something about this area, man.
Yep.
Especially from the smaller schools where, there's no place like home.
Yeah, I'm sure that place will be packed. The Cambridge, and obviously your AAU clubs that they both played on together, but
Dude,
it'll be packed. It'll be a packed house, I think, just from that aspect of everything. There'll be a lot of screaming and yelling, and they better have enough candy on concession stand tomorrow.
this is not any flack to be thrown at you or any of the other schools that have done this since then. But I will tell you that the 2019 Class C New York State Final, where Cambridge won the state championship with the Phillips sisters together on that team, that was, and I think still is, I'll have to really think about this one a little bit more off air, but I'm pretty sure it's still the loudest gym I was ever in for any game.
Mm-hmm.
There was literally a wall, because for whatever reason, they gave Cambridge the far side of the gym from the entrance.
Yep.
So it was literally basically a sea of orange across from me from the scores table. It was a sight. It was quite the sight. So when I say there's no place like home,
yeah, they travel. Cambridge, even when they were in the dome for football and stuff, they'd have a whole group of people there. So
yeah, man, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. All right. With that being said, that's up episode 33 of 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. Thanks again to Sophia Lee and Coach Tian Tang from the Storm King School, sks.org, if you're interested in looking up more stuff about the school, because I know they're not in Section 2. So if you want to do a little research and find out more about the school or their athletic programs or whatever. And at 84 Feet Podcast on Twitter. Find us on Facebook, 84 Feet with Cady and Cap. And that'll do it. So at this point, have a happy Thanksgiving, because this is the episode before Thanksgiving. So enjoy your Thanksgiving, whether it's turkey or ham, or maybe you're Italian and you like doing the Italian buffet thing and do lasagna instead of a turkey. I know families that do that. So enjoy your Thanksgiving. And root against the Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
that's easy to do. So
especially this year when they suck almost as bad as the Giants. So So Cap, happy gobble gobble day, and I'll catch you next show, all right?
all right, see you later.